Hi, I'm Toby, and happy Halloween. And for this Halloween, unlike last year where I missed Halloween completely, I'm getting a video out. What video? This video. In this video, I'll be trying to explain the SCU, the Slasher Cinematic Universe. Now originally I was going to do this in person, and I was going to have a whiteboard, and it would just be 10 minutes of me dressed up in a silly costume talking about it, but I ended up running out of time and I don't really have the resources to do that. So we're back to a normal video, and to keep you not bored, I have included some Minecraft footage, so my ramblings aren't too bad, but either way. This video was split into two parts. Number one, I'll be explaining the lore of the films and how the films link together. Then we get into the crazy stuff, which is just the which is the other media, which basically just links to everything, which is crazy. I don't even speak about Fortnite in the other media bit, because Fortnite links literally everything to everything, so I'm going to refuse to speak about Fortnite. But I've made some interesting things that I think are interesting. Anywho, let's begin by explaining the lore and backstory of our three main films that we will be discussing today. Well, not films, but franchises. You get the thing. There we go. Also, I redid the set. I was going to do a Friday the 13th video this year, but plans change. So, might as well use my Halloween set. It's a bit biased. If you couldn't tell, I like the Friday the 13th films, which we're about to launch into. I'm now going to try and explain the entire lore of this 12-film franchise. I'm only covering 9 of the films, but still then, it is mental. So let's begin. In 1979, there was a boy called Jason. He had drowned, and his mother, Pamela, tries to say, basically, it's so weird. Jason drowns in 1958 or something, and his mum, Pamela, gets revenge in 1979 on Friday the 13th, his birthday. And she gets revenge by killing a bunch of people and making horror history. Is the film good? No, I think it's probably one of the weaker ones, but still, it's no part 8. But we'll get there eventually. But yeah, so basically, we're starting off with the big issue at hand already. Jason's dead. But then in part 2, which starts off a month after part 1, like the first film, Jason is a full-grown adult who kills the final girl from the first film. What the hell? How is that possible? I don't get it. And there is an explanation to this that I hate, but we're gonna get that later, because it's a big part of a link, and I hate that link so much. But yeah, so he's alive and a full-grown adult. Now the film tries to say, oh, maybe he didn't drown and he watched his mother get decapitated, which I think is a very cool detail and a very cool way to look at it, and so does the 2009 remake, which I think is a perfect film. So if you really want good stuff there, you know where to go. Anywho, so he's alive in part 2, and he's a full-grown adult, which is odd. It makes little sense, but it's still just there. Then we get to part 3, and he's still kicking, even though he has been. Then in part 2, he gets a pickaxe. No, not pickaxe. He gets something for his shoulder, which probably should have killed him. But no, it's Jason Voorhees, so he's alive. And in part 3, he does the same thing from part 1, but he just, attacks people again. He gets an axe in the head, which should kill him, but he doesn't. Then part 4, he does the exact same thing again, but this time it's killed by Tommy Jarvis, a little boy. And yeah, he dies. And then part 5 happens, and he's not in it. Well, he is in it, but he's a ghost, and it's in a different timeline, so I don't have to speak about it. Then, in part 6, Jason is revived from the grave by Tommy Jarvis on accident, like Frankenstein. And what I mean by that is, they stick a metal rod in Jason, he gets struck by lightning, and he literally explodes and becomes reanimated. He's now a zombie. He's zombie Jason. I'm fine with that. I think that's a cool thing. But yeah, he's zombie Jason. And then we have a few films which I don't really need to speak about, apart from part 7. Part 7's peak. has like a girl with like carry powers, which is just cool. But then we get to part 9. Part 9 is where it all takes place. Actually, I'm going to mention part 8 first. Part 8, Jason goes to Manhattan. Well, he takes Manhattan, but he just takes a boat for most of the film, and then gets to Manhattan in the last like 10 minutes. And at the end of that film, he turns into a little boy due to the well-known fact that, you know, New York sewers, they flush out with toxic waste every night. Like that's just a common fact that New York sewers flush out every night at midnight with toxic waste. Yeah, thank God we have that Zoran Mandani guy, because he better keep control of that goddamn toxic waste. Anywho, yeah, so he turns into a little boy because of that, which is weird. And part 9 completely ignores it and completely drops the Friday the 13th moniker as it goes to a different studio. And then they ruin the franchise with one film in a few ways. Part 9 is the big link here to everything. Basically, Jason moved studios. Like, it was originally Paramount. Paramount was starting to really hate the franchise, which, fair enough. I can understand that. And they really hated the franchise, so they sold it to New Line, which owned Freddy Krueger. It was very popular at the time. So they gave it to him. And they made maybe the worst film of all time. Jason Goes to Hell. I hate this film. It is terrible. And they completely ruin like the entirety of the franchise, and it's just, it's horrible. I don't like it. But basically, at the end, this film, Jason's a slug, and he goes from person to person. But at the end of the film, something very important happens. Jason's mask, which is just left on the ground. Jason gets sent to hell. That's actually a very important thing. He gets pulled to hell in this really cool effect that I'm showing right now. And I love the effect. I think it's really cool. But yeah, so he gets dragged to hell, right? And then Freddy Krueger's hand comes from hell and drags his mask to hell with him, which I think is cool as hell. We're gonna put a pin in that at the moment, and then we're gonna talk about the Nightmare on Elm Street films. Nightmare on Elm Street films are 10 times more confusing and make little sense. The first film is amazing, and it follows Freddy Krueger as he haunts the Elm Street people. The Elm Street people are like a group of kids. Well, it's just the children of a bunch of people that burnt him alive, which is sick. So like he haunts the families because they burnt him alive, and he doesn't like that. So he haunts that, and he kills their kids. He goes on a killing spree, yada yada yada. And at the end of the film, he's put to a stop. Then the second film happens. I don't really know what to say. Part 2 doesn't really link, except for the Elm Street house. The Elm Street house is probably the most important one. Then part 3 does a lot of like developing with the lore as it introduces dream powers, which is interesting, and a very important character that I don't know the name of because I haven't watched the film in a very long time, and I didn't do that much research into the films themselves for this video. I did research around the films, but just not into the films. But she's a very important character, and she can pull people into her dreams, which she uses in part 3 and part 4, and then she dies in part 4. But she gives all of her powers to this one girl called Alice. Because why not? Because why not? And Alice becomes like this dream god, where she's like cracked and shit, and she has all these powers from all of her dead friends that died to Freddy. It's weird. I don't get it fully. But yeah, so she has all these powers, and then she has the dream baby. She gets pregnant by her boyfriend, and Freddy Krueger, who dies at the end of part 4 and is banished, uses the dreams of the baby to go forward in time in a way, kind of. I don't know, but basically Freddy uses the dreams of the baby to do that, and then he's banished at the end and put back into his mother's womb. And then part 6 happens, and part 6 does nothing to do with part 5. It's completely different, and it's called Freddy's Dead, because this came out, I think, the same year or the year before or the year after Jason Goes to Hell, so they're linked basically. This was to set up the big crossover, which I'm gonna speak about soon, I promise, when I get there. But basically, they had the big crossover, Freddy versus Jason. Not yet, why am I speaking about that? So Freddy goes to hell, Freddy dies, and it's a terrible film. And yeah, it's just really bad. I don't know what to say. It makes no sense. and I really don't know what to say. I don't know what that film does. I can't remember it that well because it was that terrible. But Jason Goes to Hell, and that's it. No, Jason Goes to Hell, Freddy's in Hell, and then they combined the franchises and they made Freddy vs. Jason, which is a mid-film but has some of my favourite fight scenes in all of cinema. So there we go. We've established the first like proper link between Freddy and Jason Voorhees and Freddy Krueger. They are officially linked. They are one and the same. They share the same universe. That is canon. But where does the next we're going to introduce another franchise into mix here, and this franchise is probably the most important franchise to linking everything to everything, and that is the Evil Dead franchise. The Evil Dead franchise is linked to the universe in the films pretty well. Well, no, not well, but basically, Evil Dead. I'll do the Evil Dead lore. Evil Dead. This guy called Ash and a group of friends go to a cabin. They find the Necronomicon Ex Mortis, which is the Book of the Dead, and they listen to a voice recording of it, and it releases a bunch of deadites, which are like these zombie things from hell. I'm gonna say from hell for now, because I do not know if I can mention this stuff, because I don't know if it classes as other media. But yeah, so the deadites attack, yada yada yada. Ash loses a hand in the second film and becomes like half deadite. Then at the end of the second film, he faces the Watcher in the Woods, which is basically a Kandarian demon, if I'm getting this right. And they use a Kandarian dagger in the first film to kill the deadites, but then the first film and the second film aren't really linked fully. It's weird. But then basically, so they do all that, and then at the end of the second film, Ash gets flung into a portal and sent to a medieval time, which is full of deadites and stuff, and that's Army of Darkness, which is fun. So we have Army of Darkness, and then there's revealed to be 3 Necronomicons, and then Ash is sent, well, depending on which ending you go for, he's either sent to the Mad Max universe, to a destroyed future, or back to the shop where he now is. And then we have Ash vs. the Evil Dead and stuff like that, but I don't really know if I can speak about that. Anywho, Evil Dead is linked to Nightmare on Elm Street with the fact that there is a film with the first film is played in Nightmare on Elm Street on a TV, which I'm guessing completely disputes the claim of how can these be in the same universe if that happens. But I give you one better. Freddy Krueger is controlled by dream demons, right? Those dream demons are probably just linked to the Necronomicon and like the Book of the Dead and stuff like that, so they can obviously just show what happened there and get away with it, I guess. That's my logic to it, at least. But then we get back to Friday Part 9. This film links literally these 3 franchises together. At the end of Part 9, Freddy Krueger drags Jason to hell. And also in Part 9, it is revealed that there is a Jason Voorhees house, or the Voorhees house. In this house, there is the Book of the Dead. There is a Necronomicon in this house. What does that mean? Well, nothing directly. However, it is very much implied that Jason Voorhees is a Deadite. This explains a lot, but also fuck that. I don't like that. That is horrible. That is a disgusting thing. Jason is no Deadite. Jason is a guy that had a full right to do what he did. He has full right to do that. He's not a goddamn Deadite. But because Part 9, he's technically a Deadite. Which, fuck you, Adam Marcus. I don't like that at all. I'm gonna go watch Part 7. Because, fuck you. Anyway, there are the films. Jason's technically a Deadite in Part 9, which is why I don't think it's linked to any of the other films. And it's that. Do you know what? Let's move on. Let's get on to other media, because I've been waffling for 12 minutes. Oh my lord. Well, I can tell you now that I'm definitely going to run out of Minecraft footage, but that's completely fine, because welcome to the other media section. Now, we've established the film connection, which I think is pretty non-linear and pretty, like, grasping at straws, but the other media connections are a lot more, like, just there. Like, you can say, oh yeah, those are linked. For example, one of the very key pieces of other media that we're going to link, like, basically a lot to, is Freddy versus Jason versus Ash. that links the 3 main films in the SCU, in my opinion. That links them together, and like deliberately. There's no way you can't dispute, and these films take place in the same universe when literally they have a comic named after them, two comics, which literally say, hey, these guys are the same universe. But yeah, let's move on. So that comic exists. That comic got a sequel, and if I'm being completely honest here, I don't know what I'm going to speak about here, because I planned everything out, but I kind of just drew arrows to stuff. So we're gonna take this slow. Jason vs. Freddy vs. Ash exists, and the Evil Dead universe is very weird. I'm gonna speak about the Evil Dead universe for a second. The Evil Dead universe, due to a few connections, and a very important connection, is the mirror world. The mirror world is where the Deadites and all that come from. And this ain't no normal mirror world. This is the mirror world from the goddamn DC Comics universe. So that links Evil Dead directly to DC Comics and the DC universe. But I'll do you one better. I'm gonna link DC to Jason Voorhees like that. You can't hear it, but I click my fingers. Jason Voorhees is in Mortal Kombat X. Mortal Kombat X is a video game that's classes as other media, due to him being in that game, which includes the Predator. Predator is... how do I... yeah, you know who Predator is. Predator vs. Alien as well, I can link those two together. But Predator has this thing, according to this site I was on. I think it was Fandom. So, this is going by what the fans say. Predator is linked to DC, like he's fought like Superman and Batman and stuff, which then indirectly links Jason to that. But yeah, so that happens. But also, there's a thing called Jason vs. Leatherface. I don't know if that's a comic, don't know if that's a game, don't know what it is, probably a comic. But that exists, which links Jason to Leatherface, which is another big franchise. That links Jason to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise, which adds a new franchise to the SCU that isn't just Marvel and DC, because Marvel's also linked to Evil Dead. I don't know how, I just have an arrow pointing to Marvel Universe, which links to DC Universe, because they yeah, okay, we get it. Where should we go from now? Ah yes, Evil Dead also links to Cthulhu and Jeepers Creepers. This is due to the fact that Cthulhu and that created the Book of the Dead or something, and Jeepers Creepers also did that. It's weird, I don't get it, but it's somehow linked. Anywho, now we're gonna bring the big link in. The big link that links it to a bunch of other franchises, which can, yes, screw everything up, but I'm gonna say fuck it, and we're gonna have a bit of fun here. Dead by Daylight, the game I despise. I don't like this game. I think it's bad. I think it's weird. It's kind of just Friday the 13th the game, but bad, so I don't like it. This game has a bunch of killers in it. Recognizable killers from very horror films that you can now actually link to every other thing. In this game, you have Freddy Krueger as a killer. That immediately links to Jason. You also have Leatherface, which links to Jason as well. You also have Pinhead, which links to the Hellraiser franchise, so that's a new franchise on the list. You have The Ring. You have the little girl from The Ring that comes out the TV in that. She's in it. Don't know why, but she is. She's a killer. So she's linked to the SCU now. You also have Stranger Things, the Demogorgons in it. That links the entirety of Stranger Things to the SCU. And I really pray Season 5 doesn't throw any curveballs and link to anything else to the SCU, because that would be hell. Then you have Alien. Alien's also linked to Predator, so technically I don't need to put Alien there, but a Xenomorph is in the game as a killer. So there we go, there's another one. Chucky. Chucky I don't think is linked in any other media. Unless we can go with the Fanta ads, they're doing like that Fanta collaboration. You know, we'll do the Fanta collaboration as well while we're on Chucky. Chucky is technically linked to Fanta, which Fanta is linked to Universal, so we could technically just link it to the Universal monsters. And in the Fanta commercial, he is seen with the guy from the Black Phone, the Grabber. Also, the Black Phone 2 was terrible, don't watch it. Freddy Krueger, no, not Freddy Krueger, Freddy Fazbear. So Five Nights at Freddy's is linked, which I was about to count to anyway. And Megan. That's a bunch of films for the SCU as well. Bunch of franchises. Anyway, Springtrap is also in Dead by Daylight, so there's another link to the FNAF universe, so all you FNAF people can be happy, I guess. And also, two very important players in the SCU, which I haven't mentioned, but like two very big killers that I think should be part of the SCU, but the only link I can find is by Dead by Daylight, and that is Ghostface and Michael Myers. I'm a big Michael Myers person. I'm not a big Ghostface person. He's just a kind of costume. I like Scream, but it's not that good. And at the moment, there's a bunch of edits on TikTok and stuff. Well, for the moment, for me, I'm recording this a good few days before Halloween, so I don't know if the edits have calmed down or not. But yeah, people saying that Ghostface is like the best one. Piss off. He's not. Jason's the best one, obviously. Like, he actually has like full reason to become a killer. But anyway, yeah, that's it. There is the SCU explained in probably like 20 something minutes. I do apologize for this video's length, but I don't apologize. You chose to watch it. You chose to watch me ramble for like a good half an hour about something that doesn't exist. Because the SCU is not a real thing. I made it up on the spot. Me doing this for a whiteboard would have been more interesting, and I do want to do a video like that eventually. It's just I need the time and the space. But yeah, thank you for watching this very long video, and happy Halloween. If you want to watch a film for Halloween, watch Brain Dead by Peter Jackson. It's so peak. Also subscribe, because I need to say that more in my videos. Please do subscribe. I need your subscribers, please. Happy Halloween!